It's been a wet and windy day at the Oval, and ultimately, I'm afraid, after plenty of toing and froing, the weather has defeated us. We've tried our best, the officials have tried their best, the ground staff have tried their best, but in the end, only 19 overs possible today. Pakistan 80 for 2. The game has been abandoned because of the rain. It hasn't actually rained for a few minutes. The ground staff have been out there working furiously, but it wasn't enough. The ground was waterlogged. It was decided there wasn't enough time to get in even a 20 overs a side game, and both captains have shaken hands, as have the umpires. So that, as they say, is that. We will have to wait and see what happens with the rest of the series, and hope that the weather is slightly better as we move on. So match abandoned out at the Oval. There you go. Pakistan 80 for 2, just the 19 overs possible. England bowled pretty well in truth in those 19 overs, particularly Jofra Archer. He was outstanding. 4 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 6. Pakistan lost 2 wickets. Fakhar Zaman and Babar Azam. Imam ul-Haq was still there on 42. Haris Sohail looked good for his brief 14. But in truth, we didn't see too much from either side. And there is plenty more to learn as we go on in this series. Lots of players will fancy more opportunities as well as they push for World Cup inclusion. So this is the state of the series at the moment then. We've had the one T20 international, which England won by 7 wickets. Unfortunately today the game has been abandoned due to excessive rain out at the Oval. So that leaves us with 4 ODIs left. On Saturday we'll be at the Ageas Bowl in Southampton. Then it's on to Bristol for the 3rd, Trent Bridge, Nottingham for the 4th, and we finish up in Headingley, Leeds. Welcome back to Uber Straight Drive. Then we expected a lot from today's game, didn't we, with so many players keen to impress before the World Cup, but in the end it was a bit of a damp squib, unfortunately. It's been dry for quite a while, but the outfield must have been so soggy that they just couldn't get out there, the ground staff, and make it playable. So the umpires saw sense and eventually called the game off, which is disappointing for everyone, particularly Steve Harmison, who's been in the studio waiting for some action. And it's a shame for both sides, isn't it? Because it's a valuable game lost in which they can look at some players and finalise their World Cup squad. We've talked about so far on this trip, Pakistan trip, about good preparation for Pakistan. I actually think this is the worst thing for England, because England have got loads of question marks. Now I'm looking at the side going forward to the next game and thinking Mark Wood has to play. He hasn't played all summer. Tom Curran or David Willey, whichever one they're going to go with, probably has to have a game. Not so much Curran, but probably David Willey has to have a game. And it's got to be fair, hasn't it, between all the seam bowlers? All the seam bowlers are going to be fair. And then as well, Moeen Ali's coming back from fitness. So you think Moeen Ali has to play, but there's a question mark over Joe Denley. So what happens? Does Moeen Ali come into the team? Joe Denley stay in the team, and we know everything about Adil Rashid. So Adil Rashid steps out. So the conundrums will be going through the England selectors' mind. The one thing I think would have gone through my mind if I was in the selectors is Jofra Archer's in the team, is in the World Cup squad now, and it's now who plays with him. So I can leave him out in the next game and put Wood back in and say, right, go and prove me for your place, because Archer's now got a place in my 15 for the World Cup. Right, OK. Let's just remind you of the squad then for these ODIs against Pakistan. So the spare seamers that Steve has mentioned there, the likes of Tom Curran, Chris Jordan, David Willey, and then you've got the ones who played today, so Wokes, Plunkett, Mark Wood and Archer. Steve mentioned there that he would have Jofra Archer into the World Cup squad, and he even picked his own squad earlier on today. Let's see if we can have a look at that right now. There you go. You've also got Liam Dawson in there for Joe Denley. David Willey misses out in your 15, incidentally. But for Joe Denley, we heard yesterday from Trevor Bayliss saying he wants to see Joe Denley bowl and prove that he can do that role. Well, he's again missed out on a valuable chance to bowl some overs. And that's the big conundrum for the selectors. Do they leave Adil Rashid out of the next game
to give Joe Denley a game to basically say you've got one chance. You know, he hasn't bowled in any of the he's only played one Royal London game because he's been in the IPL. He didn't bowl. He hasn't bowled all summer. He bowled a little bit at Cardiff and didn't bowl. He bowled an over at Cardiff, didn't bowl very well. But it was freezing cold, trying to bowl leg spin in the freezing cold. Is it fair? Probably not, no. But England need to find out whether he's good enough to go and play in the 15. Dawson, on the other hand, has played 8 Royal London one-day games this year. Their batting are probably on par. Joe Denley and Liam Dawson's batting are probably on par to go in.
Denley not more of a frontline batsman?
Yeah, but at number 7, and that's the reason why I'm saying as on par. They're going to be batting at 7 or possibly 8, but it's the bowling for me. At 17 wickets at an average of 18, that tells me that Dawson's in good form. And if Moeen Ali has got a cracked rib, it's you expect it's only going to get worse over the course of the next. Well, we're talking about 12 weeks, 3 weeks until the World Cup, and then the World Cup. So you're thinking, well, it's only going to get tired, it's only going to get worse. He might have to come out. Well, if he comes out, I want a competent bowler to go in there because he's going to be a frontline bowler. He's going to be a containing bowler because Moeen Ali's more containing than Adil Rashid. So then I'm probably going to go for Dawson over Denley.
Just 19 overs today. What have we learnt from both sides?
We've learned Jofra Archer is a very, very good bowler. We've learned Jofra Archer likes playing in the big stage, and we've seen that he can bowl nicely. We've also seen Imran Haq, who got 42 off 68 balls. Question marks over in Pakistan's start to the first 10 overs. But I tell you what, that is a very, very good 42 for what he had to go with, because Archer, Wokes, Plunkett bowled beautifully with a new ball up front.
Yeah, the ball was moving around, seaming around quite a lot early on, but Archer the standout with 4 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 6. Let's have a look at the 2 wickets that did fall. Fakhar Zaman and Babar Azam, 2 dangerous batsmen at the top of the order. It was Fakhar who went first. Great bit of bowling this from Archer, Steve. Yeah,
this doesn't do it, to be fair. That's a great ball. It looks fantastic, 91 mile an hour. But this does not do it justice. Seam bowled upright, just angling towards first slip. Takes the outside edge, nipped away just a touch. Joe Root did a juggling act, off the chest, off the chin, nicely taking a catch. And Archer does that to you. You can imagine he does that to batsmen as well as slip, but it didn't do it justice because the bowling before that was excellent. Liam Plunkett, on the other hand, he's a bit different. He'll give you a full ball, he will give you a loose ball, he'll give you something to go at. But what that also does is it gives you, as a batsman, a bit of confidence, think you can hit every ball for 4. You feel as though you can go at Liam Plunkett. But the one thing Liam Plunkett does, like he did there, he bowls wicket-taking balls, and that was a beauty.
That was a beauty. Unfortunately, he's got a guy called Jofra Archer breathing down his neck at the moment. You mentioned already a couple of times that you think he should be straight into the World Cup squad. I think a lot of people now will agree with you just on the basis of those 4 overs. He was superb.
Yeah, look at this. This is beautiful. There's not a great deal can go wrong. The run-up is smooth. You know, the action's beautiful. It goes straight up and down. There's no moving parts. There's nothing goes left or right. He goes straight through his action, straight through his run-up. Seam bolt upright, and that's where he gets his pace from. He gets his pace from because he goes upright tall. His front legs braced. He's over the top, and because he's like that, the seam goes bolt upright. So he gives it the best chance to swing, and also if there's anything in the pitch, it gives it a chance to seam. And to be fair, he was delighted, and I would be as well. He looks a special talent. We've built him up. We always look for a 4. But I tell you what, this guy, I think he's got something special, because what I've seen in the IPL, he can do it under pressure as well. So I've got no questions that I'm going in the World Cup squad.
Can't wait to see him bowl again, that's for sure. We've just talked about what England might have learnt from those 19 overs. Let's get back out to the ground, shall we, and talk one final time to Ramiz. Coming to you now, Ramiz, hope you are ready. Let's see if he can hear us. Oh, yeah, that's right. Just shove him out of the way. Yeah, there we go.
we've seen football kicks before. We're now to an elbow now.
Excellent use of the elbow there, Ramiz. We enjoyed that. What did Pakistan learn from those just 19 overs?
That how tough it's going to be for their batting. That they need to be extremely good up front against the new ball. They need partnerships, they need positive intent, and once you dig in there, it's important that you rotate the strike, even though Imamul Haq was pretty steady and his technique was good. But even then he played a lot of dots, and I think that is where Pakistan can hash up things. It's important that once you get settled, if you're not getting 4s and 6s, make sure that you have a good regular rotation of strike.
You've had a pretty frustrating day, as we all have. What's your app saying now in terms of the weather?
It says it's extremely cold. The brolly is out. Time to go home.
It is not just yet. We'll just keep you for a couple more minutes if that's okay. Let's talk about Imamul Haq. Steve there said that he felt it was a pretty good innings in the end in testing conditions. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's so important that you have your opener in good form in English conditions. And even though he was on the slower side, but conditions were tough, and so he kind of handled things well. Let's not forget that he averages almost 50 in limited overs cricket. So he's got a decent technique. His stride is nice and long when he's playing that drive or is looking to play that forward defensive shot. So technically he's quite okay to manage things. I'm just a little worried about Fakhar Zaman though. I think he's a little confused in his mind whether he needs to be a Virender Sehwag, and I've seen him to play like Sehwag and he is absolutely gold, or whether to be like a Rahul Dravid. He can't be a Rahul Dravid because he doesn't have the technique, and it's too late in the day for him to alter his DNA. It's important that he goes out there looking to strike hard. At number 3, I'm comfortable with Babar Azam, and then I want Sarfraz to either bat at 4 or 5. Haris Sohail looked pretty decent. I think he's got a good track record as well. Ever since he made a comeback after his injuries, he's done batting quite proud. And I think they'll need him in the middle overs to do well and be consistent. So, I mean, it's a batting lineup that'll give you, on consistent basis, a total of 270, 280. But if you ask me to see whether they can get a 320, 330 against a quality side, they probably struggle to do that.
I mean, as you look at, I've looked at England and the conundrum England have got. They've got to try and find a squad and get enough game time for their players. Is there, looking forward into the next game, is there somebody that Pakistan need to have a look at? They desperately need to look at Mohammad Amir. Do they have a look at young Hasnan? Does he have a go? Shoaib Malik. Shoaib Malik's going to come back into the squad. Does he have a game? Who needs to have a game to really say, right, I deserve my place in this World Cup squad?
Yeah, I think it's got to be Mohammad Amir. A lot of focus will be on how he bowls. Then I like Asif Ali to be given another go. I don't know whether he'll play the 2nd ODI because Shoaib Malik will make a comeback. But they need, I still feel with this batting lineup, they need somebody really to inject quick 4s and 6s in the later order. Other than that, Fakhar Zaman, they'll be queried regarding his ability and capacity to dominate bowling attacks in English conditions. And then Hasnan, I would want Hasnan to play 1 or 2 ODIs because he's selected to be part of the World Cup squad, and so they've got to make him feel as if he's going to be the tear-away fast bowler to provide Pakistan with brilliant breakthroughs. And so for him to feel that kind of comfort in the mind, I think it's important that he's played in at least 3-4 matches, or at least in 3 or 2 matches.
Thanks, Ramiz. Fantastic talking to you. We'll let you get out of the rain finally, and I think you should perhaps sharpen up those elbows when you go down to Southampton. Make sure no one gets in your shot.
Yeah, mankading.
Very good
Boys,
to see you.
Don't worry about it.
We will have Ramiz live from the Aegeus Bowl as well, of course. Let's get some final thoughts then with Steve. As you said, England have got to make a few decisions, haven't they, in terms of who they want to pick in the next game. Pakistan do too. And Mohammad Amir is a bit of a loser today, isn't he? Because he's running out of time to prove that he should be in that World Cup squad. Yeah, he is. He's running out of time. They've got to give him till the end of the series. They've got to give him the 4 games. I agree with Ramiz. Hasnan, I think he's got to play 2 games of going into the World Cup because he doesn't. There's no point picking him
in the World Cup squad, because you've not blooded them, you've not given them a chance in England conditions. I'm intrigued. I can't wait to see this England team for the next game, because Denley has to play, because there's question marks over Mo and Ali. Mo and Ali has to play because there's question marks over his fitness. Mark Wood has to play because there's question marks over his fitness.
They all have to play, basically, is what you're saying.
Chris Wokes has to play because there's question marks over his fitness. The one person for me who doesn't have to play because there's no question marks over him at all, and that's Jofra Archer. He's the one that stood out today, and he's the positive for England.
But will the selectors see it that way, though? Because
Probably
they're still
not.
trying to look at Archer, aren't they? In theory, he's only had 2 ODIs and 1.5.
Yeah, but I think class shows, and I think what he's shown so far. Is enough to say, right, he deserves to be in that squad. I think the rest of them now, a lot of it is on their fitness. I don't think it's on their ability. It's on their fitness. Can they withstand a whole World Cup tournament? And I think Archer's proved he's fit. I think he's proved he can bowl. And I think he's proved he's got the temperament. So over to the ones that are wanting to be that 13, 14, 15 man in that World Cup squad for England. So it's an intriguing selection for Southampton.
Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for coming in. Stick around. We'll see you on Saturday. You can go and watch the Champions League semi-final now in your hotel room. I know you're going to do that. Right, let's remind you where we are for the 2nd ODI. Hopefully drier. But you never know. It is England, of course. It is on Saturday, live from the Ageas Bowl, just outside of Southampton, the 2nd ODI between England and Pakistan. So thanks very much for watching. Thankfully, we do have 4 games left in this series.